For my project, what I have currently is a dice.png. This is an asset that I found in the itch.io store, whose link I'll leave down in the description so you can download it. So once you have that, we can get to making our project. So I'll add in a 2D node. Then I'm going to add in a color rect for the background. Take it and then maybe drag it so that it can fill the entire viewport and more. Then I can come over here to my node 2D again, and then I can put in a sprite 2D node for the dice, drag this dice image into its texture property, then drag it to the, I did something wrong, supposed to take it and put it somewhere towards the center of the screen, not change its size. Then once I have it towards the center of the screen, I can come over here to transform and maybe scale it to something like 10 so that it becomes larger. So for this image, you'll notice that it has 6 frames, each representing one side of the die. So we can come over here to the animation property of the sprite, change its H frames to 6, not 60, so that we can represent each frame, each side of the die. So once we have that, if we click the frame property, we can notice that the side of the dice is changing. And then you'll notice that when we have 6 sides, it's on the 5th frame, and that's because it's using 0 indexing like every programming language. So the first frame or the first side with 1 dot will be represented by 0, and the one with 6 dots will be represented by 5. So once we have that, we can just save our scene, and then we can get to scripting. So I'll attach a script to my node 2D, and then I'll remove all of the default text, and what I want to say is function input, and then I can print the input or the event, not the input, so I can print this event. So this input function is an inbuilt function in Godot, and basically what it does is it runs every time there's a certain input. So for example, if I run my project and I just drag it somewhere towards the left, if I drag my mouse across the screen, you can notice over here that it's telling me every mouse movement event. If I click my button, if I click my mouse, you can notice that it's giving me the mouse click event. So button mask is that, the button index is this. If I even click like a key on my keyboard, just drag all the way to the bottom, you can see that I clicked the key D. So the function of that input event function is to basically tell us when any sort of input is occurring in our device. So for this, I want to take in the mouse button left event. So when I press the left mouse button, I want to change the side. So I'm going to say if the event is an input mouse button, and the event dot button index is equal to mouse button left. So if the left button is pressed, so and the event dot pressed, we're going to write pass. So if we are pressing the left button, if we don't specify that we're pressing, even when we release the button, it's going to run the function. So we want it to only run when the event is pressed. So if we are pressing the left mouse button, we want to get to change our side. So we can create a variable called side, and it can be equal to a random integer within the range of 0 to 5. So once we have the side, we can say that our sprite2d.frame is equal to that side. So you remember the frame property over here when you click the sprite and then you change the frame property. So we're just setting that frame to the random side we got, and then we can display it. So right now, if I run my scene and I click it, we can see that we are getting a random face every time I click the screen. So now we can get to making it implement some sort of functionality. So I'm going to say match side to or 0 pass, like 1 pass 2 pass. So match is basically Sorry about that. I'm supposed to press tab. It's supposed to be under this event over here, not outside. So I just pressed tab to push it inside this event. So when I press the button and I get the side, we can use that side. So match is basically the simple way of saying if. So instead of writing like if side is equal to 0, do something. So instead of writing all of this and then writing elif side is equal to that, we can basically just say match. In other programming languages it might be something like switch, but for Godot it's match. So match side, if the side is the first side, we want to say something like print side is 0. And maybe if the side is 1, we can also create like a variable over here called prediction. You can maybe implement a functionality for somebody predicting which side of the die will be gotten. So I can create like var prediction is equal to 0, and then create another one called score, which is also equal to 0 by default. Or not 0. Prediction, I can set it to something like 3. And then I can come over here and then maybe implement that pass, maybe like side 4 pass. I won't be implementing the functionality for every side. So I can say if the side is 1, maybe we can change the color of the background. So colorRect.color is equal to a color object, and then we're going to say randf, randf. So this will basically give us a random color. So I created a tutorial on how to get random numbers with Godot. I'll leave it down in the description, but basically what we're doing is getting a random value in between 0 and 1. So we can get 0.01, 0.02, etc. And then we are using that to create different RGB values so that we can create a random color for the background. Then once we have a random color for the background, we can maybe set this one. So if our prediction is 3, or our side we've gotten is 3, we can say something like, we can increase our score to something like 10, so plus equal to 10. And then we can also come over here and then maybe attach like a label to our project, and then we can maybe set it by default to 0. Come over here to theme overrides colors, change its font color to black, and then to its font size to something like 50 pixels so it can become larger. Then you can maybe drag it to like the right of the screen, and then on your script, if our prediction is correct, so if the side is the third side, we can say that like our label is equal to the string of our score. So with that, if we run our project, we can see that if we click our button and the side is the second side, so side 1, we can see that the background color has changed to a random color. If we click it again and we click it again, we can see that if we get our fourth side, the score is incrementing by 10 points. And then we can just continue playing with this. So yeah, that's basically how you make a simple dice game with Godot. And with that, I will see you in the next tutorial.